the armor of God is one of the coolest things that we read about in the Bible. It's about these pieces of armor that God has given us so that we can take part in this battle that's going on all around us. It's important to remember that these armor pieces are here to equip us and to help us and to make sure that we're ready for battle. See, a soldier wouldn't go into battle without any armor, without any equipment. He wouldn't just go wearing his normal clothes. It's quite silly. Or think of it like this. Do any of you guys play some sports? You know, growing up, Pastor Josh played soccer. And there were certain pieces of equipment, certain things I had to wear in order to be able to play the game. And if I didn't have this equipment, if I didn't have this stuff, these things, then I couldn't play the game. And some of the things I needed, I've got here right with me, and I'm going to show you guys. See, I couldn't play the game if I didn't have my soccer boots. And soccer boots are important because they got these little things at the bottom that actually help me grip the ground so that I can run when it's wet and I won't slip over. And if I wasn't wearing these, if I just played in runners, I'd be falling over a lot, which Pastor Josh has done before, and it's not a lot of fun. So shoes are really important. Secondly, you need to wear shin guards, and these protect your legs. You're actually not allowed to play the game if you don't have these. You know, the referee will actually come up and tap your shins to make sure you're wearing them because they're really important. Not only that, but you got to wear some long socks to cover up your shin guards. Look at these. These are some long socks. I need those. You wear a sports top. And it will often have a number on the back so that, you know, we can identify who's who. You'll also have some soccer pants. And Pastor Josh used to be a goalkeeper, so he needed to wear some gloves. And gloves were really important because they helped protect my hand. If I didn't have those gloves, my hands would begin to sting and it would be really, really hard to play. And just like a soccer player needs equipment, just like a basketball player needs equipment, just like a soldier needs his equipment, needs his armor, we need armor because the book of Ephesians, in the Bible, we learn that we're in a spiritual battle. And so these things that God has given us are really, really important for us. And so I just want to read two of my favorite verses for you guys. These are two of the most important verses, I feel. And the first one is in Ephesians 6:13. And it says, "Therefore, put on every piece of God's armor, so you'll be able to resist the enemy in the time of evil. Then after the battle, you'll be standing firm." See, we can't just put on some pieces of equipment. I can't just put on one shin guard or wear one soccer boot. I need to put on all parts. And it's the same with God's armor. We need to put on all parts of the armor. But the bit I'm going to be talking about today is prayer. And prayer is our communication. Prayer is our way of talking to God and bringing it all together. And if we think about soldiers, or if we think about a sports team, they need their coach or they need their commander. They need to be listening to those that are leading them. See, a soldier knows that he has to listen to his commander. He has to obey him and watch him and do everything that the commander says. Otherwise, he might be in trouble. He might run into some trouble. But the commander can help direct and guide and comfort and push the soldiers forward. And in the same way, a soccer team or a basketball team, or think of any sort of sports, the player or the team needs a coach. And the coach can help direct, the coach can help guide, the coach can encourage and push them, because the coach and the commander, they can see things that the players, they can see things that the soldiers aren't able to see. They're able to see ahead, they're able to plan and make moves and think about what to do next. And see, when we're in battle, when we see what's right in front of us, we don't see beyond, we don't see what's ahead. But that's where prayer, that's where communication comes into play. And just like we're in a spiritual battle here, prayer is our way of staying in touch with God. Prayer is our way of communicating with God. Prayer is our way of being guided and directed by God in this battle. And it's so, so important. And that is why in Ephesians 6:18 we read, "Pray in the Spirit at all times and on every occasion. Stay alert and persistent in your prayers for believers everywhere." See, we can put on all the armor, we can put on all the equipment, But if we don't have guidance, if we don't have direction, if we don't have communication with God, then it's sort of going to be a little bit useless. So it's important to remember our communication. It's important to remember prayer and staying in touch with God. Prayer is the way God guides us and directs us. Prayer is how we can be aware of what's going on and how God is working in our lives. And so I'm going to illustrate this to you guys. We're going to do a little illustration to show the power of prayer and how important prayer is. All right, so I'm here with the little illustration to explain the power and the importance in prayer. So here is a candle with a flame, and this represents us. And over here, I have a piece of paper. And on this piece of paper, I'm going to write down some fears some of us might have. You know, some of us might be afraid of the dark, or thunderstorms, or heights, or maybe spiders, maybe some snakes. Maybe some of us are afraid of losing mum or dad at the shops. Maybe we're afraid of hurting someone. I don't know. We can all be afraid of lots of different things. And these fears, these things that we're afraid of, can sometimes get the best of us. They can cause us to freak out and to panic and to get really scared and to not feel very good. And so here I've got a little, we're going to call it our fear fan. So we've got our fear fan. Let me just fold this. And see, you know, remember, this represents us. Here's our fears. This is sort of what can happen when fears start to get the best of us. We start to get all shaky and wobbly. We start to freak out and flip out, and, you know, we might not handle it very well. Now, this is where prayer comes into play. Prayer is really important because prayer is our way of talking and communicating with God. And prayer is God's way of looking out for us and protecting us, and it lets us know that God is working in our life. So, over here, I have a little Ziploc bag, and it's going to be our prayer bag. It's going to be prayer. It represents prayer. And see, like this Ziploc bag, it's clear, or it's see-through. And I can still see the camera. You guys can still see me through the camera and through the Ziploc bag. And just like prayer, prayer's a bit clear, prayer's a bit invisible. We can't always see it. But prayer is a protector. Prayer is our guide and our strength. And look at this. Is the candle really being affected? No. Not like before. Look at it before. It's shaky, it's wobbly, it's almost going out. But then we pray, we have God's protection, and look at those fears. Look at those worries. It's not affecting us nearly near as much. So prayer is really important. Prayer is our protection and our guide. Prayer is our communication with God. Psalm 46 verse 10 reminds us, "Be still and know that I am God." And see, prayer is our way of slowing down. When there's lots of fear, when there's lots of worry, when there's lots of things going on in our life, we just need to stop, pray, and remember that God is in control. God is looking out for us, and God wants the best for us. And see, we can have all the armor, we can have all the protection, all the equipment, but if we're not in communication with God, if we're not talking to God, then there's no point. Prayer is the most important part. But Pastor Josh, he was on a mission trip all the way over in Cambodia. Now, Cambodia is in Southeast Asia. You can go find it on the world map later. It's a small little country. But before Josh got to Cambodia, he and his friends were in Thailand, and they were going to meet the rest of the team. There was about 20 of us. We were going to meet in Cambodia. So 10 of us were in Thailand, 10 of us were in Australia, and we were going to meet in Cambodia. And so I was with half the team, and my co-leader was with the other half in Australia. And on the night that they were traveling to Cambodia, my friend called in and just said, "Hey, everything's going well, everything's all right." And I said, "All right, cool." And we kept doing what we were doing. But then 20 minutes later, I got a call, and she was crying and she was freaking out. And she said, "Hey, one of the girls, we're not able to get her through. You know, where you put your bags down at the airport and they give you your ticket. They wouldn't give her the ticket because the name that she had put in and the name on the passport were different. And they said, 'Sorry, ma'am, we can't let you on the flight. You're going to have to buy another ticket.'" And we didn't have money to buy another ticket. That was very expensive to do. And so there was a lot of crying, there was a lot of freaking out. And my friend on the phone was just crying and saying, we can't do anything. We're in trouble. We don't know what we're going to do. And they had been trying to do this for quite some time with no luck. And so me and my team, we were in the hotel at the time, and we got together and we just started praying. And we prayed for a couple minutes. And then as the prayer was coming to an end, I felt my phone buzzing. And I picked it up, and it was my co-leader back in Australia. Said, hey, we just got through. We were able to get the ticket. We didn't have to pay for it. They just, some computer error, and it's all fixed now. It's all good, and we will meet you guys tomorrow. And we were so thankful. We couldn't even explain. We couldn't understand what had happened. But it was through the power of prayer that all of this happened. And so, boys and girls, I want to encourage you. You know, you can put on all the equipment, you can put on all the armor, but prayer is the most important part, because prayer is our communication. Prayer is our way of talking to God and staying in touch with God and being guided and directed by God. And prayer is one of the most exciting and coolest parts about the Christian faith. And so I want to encourage you guys to pray. Take some time to pray and to reflect. And just remember, prayer is important and prayer is powerful.